While the Ukrainian Armed Forces are trying to stop the advance of the Russian army in the northern part of the Kharkiv region, equally dramatic events have begun to develop in the eastern part of this region. So, just a few minutes ago, war correspondents announced that on May 19, at 7 a.m. Moscow time, offensive units of the Russian army crossed the border of the Luhansk People's Republic and entered the eastern part of the Kharkiv region. In particular, the advance of the Russian army was recorded to the west of the city of Svatov. It is reported that the armed forces of Ukraine were not ready for such a development of the event, and that the attack of Russian troops on this particular sector of the front turned out to be a complete surprise for the Ukrainian High Military Command. The fact is that the Ukrainian and NATO generals were sure that the Russian army did not have additional forces in this sector of the battlefront to carry out offensive actions. However, as today's events have shown, NATO intelligence was wrong again. So, according to war correspondents, Russian troops managed to enter the settlement of ARTEMOVKA, located west of the city of Svatov. Moreover, as it turned out, the Russian troops had not only managed to enter the village of ARTEMOVKA, but also gained a foothold in new positions in the eastern part of this settlement. At the same time, Russian troops are also initiating an effort to cover the village from the northeast and southeast directions. At the moment, the remnants of the units of the armed forces of Ukraine are trying to hold their positions on the outskirts of the western part of the village. However, the pressure from the Russian troops is so great that some armed Ukrainian groups have already begun to leave their positions in the western part of this settlement. At the same time, you should understand that if Ukrainian soldiers lose the village of ARTEMOVKA, the situation of the Ukrainian army will significantly worsen not only in Kupiansk, but also in Kharkiv itself. The fact is that control over the village of ARTEMOVKA will allow the Russian army to launch an offensive towards the eastern shore of the Oskol Reservoir with a broad front. Thus, the Russian army will force the enemy not only to pull back the remaining reserves from other directions of the front, but also get an additional opportunity to strike at the flank of the grouping of the armed forces of Ukraine located in Kupiansk. This time from the south side. Now it becomes clear why the armed forces of Ukraine are so desperately trying to hold at least the southern part of the city of Volchansk. The fact is that the loss of this city by the armed forces of Ukraine will also mark the fall of Kupiansk, since the Russian army will be able to attack Kupiansk not only from the south and east, but also from the north. In addition, the capture of Volchansk will also allow Russian troops to establish fire control over the main supply lines of the armed forces of Ukraine in Kupiansk. Against this background, further resistance by Ukrainian armed formations in Kupiansk will not be possible. Meanwhile, one of Putin's most ardent rivals, former oligarch Mikhail Khodorkovsky, made a rather frightening forecast regarding the war in Ukraine. According to him, Ukraine and the West suffered a devastating defeat in confrontation with Russia. At the same time, he noted that even if the West gives Ukraine all its weapons, Kiev will still lose to Russia, since Moscow has much more economic and military capabilities than Ukraine and all Western countries, including the United States. Mikhail Khodorkovsky also added that Russia would seize the territory of the whole of Ukraine, including Kiev and Lviv. I am absolutely sure that by the end of 2024, the Russian army will capture Kharkiv. By mid-2025, Odessa and the entire central part of Ukraine will come under the control of Russian troops. By the end of 2026, Ukraine will be forced to wage only a guerrilla war. As for Lviv, it will also come under the control of the Russian army if NATO and Polish troops still do not dare to enter the city, Mikhail Khodorkovsky said. And what about you, my friends? Do you think Khodorkovsky is right to say such things? Do you think his predictions will come true? Share your opinions in the comments below.